All right, you three can go ahead and get in line.
I didn't think I would ever see this day come, ever. And it was one of my worst fears, getting a call about her, and I'm very, very happy for her.
I'm happy. I see her progressing to the woman she should be, instead of, you know, like a lot of people that fail. Like, she's smart, she's very beautiful. It's a good day, it's a great day.
I guess you're proud of her, huh?
Yes, very proud.
She's rejoined the family.
Very much so.
For sure.
We often admire the beauty of the butterfly, but don't recognize the path that it had to go through to get to that beauty. So I want to acknowledge the beauty of this butterfly and the path that she had to take to get here today.
I don't know if you're familiar with our nickname. It's called the Hub City, because from Compton's in the center of everything. From here, it's easy to get just about anywhere in LA County. And here we go. We're right coming up on the track. Well, this is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and so you can see there's still, you know, activity. You know, there are girls out here working right now. And like I said, I'm certain somewhere there is a pimp watching them.
Anytime I would get arrested, I was the criminal, not the person that was making me go out there, or the person that was collecting my money, or even the John that was picking me up.
Sick stuff that I experienced out there, like whether it was, you know, getting hit upside my head or sleeping in my urine or not eating because I didn't make my quota, didn't make the money that he asked me to make, right? Like this angry kid, this kid that at 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I felt it was my choice to be out there. I believe that.
Yes. All right. So listen, congratulations on having completed the program. Your case is going to be dismissed and sealed 6 months from today if you stay out of trouble and lead a law-abiding life. It's certainly our intention to try to resolve all the cases here with non-criminal dispositions wherever possible. So I wish you the best of luck. All right? I think before these courts existed, there was a very limited understanding of prostitution and what that entailed. Where you have prostitution arrests, you are going to find individuals who have been trafficked. Under these circumstances, it is inherently unfair to deal with them as just criminal offenders or criminal defendants.
So you've been at Crittenton for about 3 weeks now? What do you think? Yeah. How many girls are there now? Probably about 50 or 60? Yeah, okay. When looking at the commercially sexually exploited girls, they have been the victims of multiple traumas. They have been victimized often by their families, by being abused or neglected as young children. They have been abused by exploiters who have specifically sold them on the street.
These are not new cases. These are cases that have always been in the system. We're just now being able to recognize them and identify them.
All right, so for those of you who are new to Catch Court, we celebrate certain milestones in a person's journey. Melissa, how many days do you have free now?
365.
Woo! The way prostitution cases were handled here in Columbus, Ohio is probably a lot like it it is across the country. You give her a jail sentence, she gets back out, and she gets arrested again, she comes back in, jail time, just jail, 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 no solution to the problem.
Catch Court is a 2-year specialized docket certified by the Supreme Court of Ohio to serve victims of human trafficking and prostitution. A woman can be on probation instead of doing jail time and get actual treatment and be restored to the community.
I can just get high lunch, you know? Like, I can do that and I can get away with it. Yeah, but that one time, I'm going to do it one more time, and then I'm going to do it.
We meet once a week on Fridays, and before the cases are called, each of the cases is referred to a different service provider based on demographics. Those who are transgender, for example, will be referred to organizations or agencies that deal with the transgender community, and so on. What we try to do is really to be linguistically and culturally sensitive in terms of being able to provide services that will meet the needs of our different populations. That makes an incredible difference in terms of people being engaged in the services, people coming back to these organizations even after they have fulfilled their mandates, and also in terms of feeling comfortable enough to disclose their trafficking history.
Normally the judge and the ADA determine a number of sessions. If it's somebody's first arrest, it's usually 5 sessions. If it's someone's second or third arrest, it goes up slightly from there, perhaps 6 or 7 sessions. Our services include individual therapy, group counseling, case management, and advocacy.
We're very realistic in thinking that, okay, well, that person, unless they are ready to leave their exploiter, for example, is not going to do it in 5 sessions, right? If the most we can do under these circumstances is connect that individual, right, to a service provider, to a telephone number that they could call, or knowing that they have certain resources available to them at a future date, when and if they are ready, you know, to leave the life or to leave their pimp, then we are accomplishing, you know, something important.
At 11 years old, I didn't identify as a victim. I didn't understand that I was a victim. And by the time I turned 15, after being in probably about already 10 different group homes and foster homes and facilities, institutions, I guess you can say, I was introduced to this thing called CSEC. That stands for Commercially Sexually Exploited Children. And after that, I did a group and was becoming aware that of my circumstances, that, you know, I was a victim.
What we find is that about 80% of our kids have a documented child welfare background, meaning that their family has been involved in the dependency system or some sort of child welfare intervention at some point in the child's life. I have the opportunity to decide whether I think this child would be better served by child welfare or by probation. We'll continue to see her regularly, regardless of which agency is what we refer to as the lead agency.
Many of these youth are in need of drug treatment programs, and because of the traumatic issues, the youth are also in need of mental health services as well.
We don't believe that they should be punished for what happened to them, because detention is only temporary. It doesn't fix anything. It can actually set a kid back.
We have counseling teams that go into the home 2 or 3 times a week to just try to mend the relationship between the child and the parents, because that is usually what led to them being out on the streets and possibly in the life. Learning to engage with my clients and talking to them in a trauma-informed manner was probably the most difficult part of my training because, quite frankly, don't address that in law school. You know, that's not one of the subjects on the bar exam.
Once we found that out and we started treating the trauma at the same time as the drugs, it's like a miracle. Our success rate went from about 20% staying and 80% running back to the trafficker. Once we dealt with that trauma, it was about 80% people staying and 20% running. You need to, if you're going to do a human trafficking court, you have to address the trauma.
We've come to realize that human trafficking situations can include a variety of charges. You know, that a woman might be told by her trafficker, you know, I need you to go steal something from this store, or I need you to go cash this bad check, or, you know, I need you to carry my dope for me. You know, these kinds of things. The typical catch court participant really has hit rock bottom. She is incarcerated, she is suffering from unaddressed mental health issues and trauma. She has a substance use issue or an addiction to a substance of some kind. When we go into the jail to assess for clinical eligibility, we use an adult diagnostic assessment. We have adapted it a little bit and added a few questions sort of about how someone got involved with soliciting. We also have added the ACE test, which stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, which is an evidence-based, you know, kind of tool to gauge someone's history of trauma. When a catch participant is about halfway through the program, we then sit down with them and do a full human trafficking assessment, and that can take 2 to 3 hours. And that is an assessment that's been adapted by several that are out there. The reason we wait a year is because it's such heavy information, and often I think women are not really ready to share and to process, and frankly, I just haven't earned their trust yet.
What made me think about, you know, choosing catch court is because my last time I got raped, pistol whooped, I really thought he was going to really kill me.
Misty, now you gotta kiss me.
Chan House is a residential treatment program for trauma survivors, human trafficking victims that are dealing with addiction problems and that are in the catch court program. Every Friday at 9 o'clock, the ladies all get in the van and we go to catch courts.
Ahead of us because you guys who are not graduating get to ask the very tough questions of the graduate that you've always been wanting to ask.
Freedom a la carte is our partner, and they are a nonprofit organization that does catering and food services, and they hire our women, and they work with them on budgeting, and they work with them on life skills, and they work with them on, you know, how do I get a job beyond freedom? What does a resume look like? How do I present myself? How do I interview?
For a lot of our ladies, they either have a lot of misdemeanors, felonies, a really big gap in their employment history, and some of them are so young, you know, they get into this so young that they don't have any work history.
When I started here at Freedom a la carte, I knew nothing about catering. So everything I know now, I've learned from Freedom a la carte.
Like the way they were adjusting with or addressing issues and stuff, because they would say, well, we can just show up whenever.
We usually have a meeting once a week. It's called the MDT meeting. It's multidisciplinary team.
It's kind of like a collaboration of all the partners that work on any given case.
Part of that team is Department of Children and Family Services. We also have probation. We have Department of Mental Health. We also have Department of Education.
A district attorney, a public defender, their advocate. We kind of want to bring all that information together so we can make the best decision.
It's especially refreshing for me coming from a mental health perspective that everyone already gets it, you know, the underlying trauma, what's going on with these girls. You don't have to sit here and try to convince them that, okay, you know, there's this behavior and, you know, they're disruptive and they're these bad kids.
If a kid's not going to therapy or something, instead of her just not being compliant with going to therapy, like try to figure out the root reason. Like, why isn't she going to therapy? Is it the therapist? Is it the atmosphere?
Success with this population varies greatly, and we talk about how it kind of changes every day. Success for one child might be staying in placement for more than 3 days, and success for another child might be graduating high school.
We tend in the legal system to often be focused on their deficiencies and their delinquencies and not on their successes. So it is really important to kind of change the whole perspective on how you're looking at the kids.
One of the things that we use to measure success as well is the number of times that kids will reach out to us. Not necessarily to tell us where they were or what was happening, but just to say, hey, I'm safe. And so to us, that was a huge success measure, because that meant to us we had done a good job of building that relationship, building that rapport, and that at least they knew that there was somebody that they could reach out to if they were in crisis.
In New York State, there is a statute that allows trafficking survivors to vacate prostitution-related offenses that occurred as a result of someone's trafficking. So we work with clients that are eligible for that remedy, preparing motions for them to vacate their criminal records.
Right now, under California law, I have the ability to clear all charges except for serious or violent felonies. So when I finish cases for many of these kids, I'm able to wipe their records clean, which really helps as far as getting them into adulthood with a clean record.
I'm very proud of you. You've done a really good job. And so I hope you're proud of yourself.
I'm very proud of myself.
Okay, good. Kara is doing quite well at home. She's finished her program at Sierra Sage. She's been home now for a little over a month and doing well. My understanding is we're ready to take her off probation today. Is it okay if I give you a hug? All right. I have a cupcake too for you if you'd like. So, congratulations.
We started with the other court and they were all gung-ho to lock her up with criminals and, you know, punishment was in order.
There was just a huge difference when I got the referral to Star Court. When I came to Star Court, like Judge Pratt, she understood. Judge Pratt court ordered so that I could get my tattoos lasered off, and they've been getting lasered off. It's just not me anymore.
I don't think I would have Kara back today if it was not for this program.
The work that I do now, like, you know, a little bit of mentoring here and there, but mostly like interaction, I guess, with my survivors, just the relationships that I have with them. Most of them have went through Star Court, and it changed their life.
If they have spent any time with our court, 62% have not been rearrested yet in 8 years. That's a big number.
So graduation is probably like the most exciting part of this job. These women work really hard for 2 years.
Today's the day, guys.
Yeah.
Came a long way, man.
I got to play free.
Slow down, children.
Not everybody's wearing like this. Yeah.
Rather than just throwing these people in jail for these nonviolent crimes where nothing is changing, why not try a new program that's actually changing lives, changing behaviors, and making these young women productive members of our society now? It makes all the sense in the world to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 7th annual Catch Court graduation. So if there's one word that I would assign to the class of 2017, and that is the word resilient. The women that you're going to see today are victims of unspeakable traumas. They are still suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome and still bear the scars of violence. However, against all odds, they have survived.
Sherry is not who she is today because she was given a handout. She has worked for every inch of her success that she has. And I honor that hard work today. Ladies and gentlemen, Sherry.
Okay, so I just want to say, I don't look at this as the end. I look at this as a new beginning of a wonderful journey. I just want to say thank you to Catch Court for loving me so I could learn to love myself, and for believing in me when nobody else would. I love you guys always.
Are you talking with a smile?
These are my mug shots, all within the same year.
Look at you here. I love doing that page.
That's when I phased up.
Wow. It says make it happen at the bottom.